InfoUSA is a very useful tool for both segmenting consumer lists as well as business lists in the United States and in Canada. I give you links for both of those in the course. I'll just look at the US one now, but the Canadian list segment is exactly the same. If you're doing consumer segmentation, you'll start with create a consumer list. These folks are list brokers. You always have the ability to do live chat here on the bottom right. And you notice it says to register. If you're interested, you can register for free, and it allows you to do all sorts of to develop some free reports. You will have to endure a call from one of their sales reps, but it's not a big deal. But you don't have to register. Let's say I want to do a consumer list. I'll click on the consumer side here on the right. It'll now take me through to a little bit of an ad that they'll talk about, how to do it. You'll notice at the top they do have different mailing lists and sales lists and e-marketing and so forth. You can look at that. Enhancement is where you overlay the data. We talked about databases having this compiled list data. This is a compiled list of all the people in the United States, or the vast majority of them. So you click on Get Started here on the right. It now takes us to the page where it says, what kind of leads do you want? It's essentially a lead. It could be an email address or a phone number or both. This company sells leads. What you want to do is just say all leads for your analyses that you want to do. And so now if you notice up here in the right hand corner, excuse me, there's 109 million individuals and households that are in there. You notice my key contacts, I have one contact per household. So there's 109 million households here that we're looking at. The first thing it asks you to do is to do some geography. So the first option I have is I can actually select on a map, or if I know a street address or a 5-digit zip code, I can essentially do a radii. And so that says, give me all the people that are in 10 miles around, say, Evanston, or 20 miles around Evanston. You can actually set it for anything that you want, any distance you want around a radii. I can segment by zip codes. I can do it by cities. Just show me Chicago. I could do it by counties or states. I just want these selection of states. I could do it by area codes if I'm doing a phone list. One of the things that most people don't understand are metro areas, but they're very useful. So a metro area is essentially the area around a city that is defined by their how far the advertising or the TV channels and radio channels used to go out. And so if you look at a metro area, I could say I want to look at Illinois, and I just want to look at Chicago to Naperville, or I'd like to look at, let's say I'll take Rockford, that's nearby. I also want to do Springfield, right at the border of St. Louis, and I'd like to do Carbondale. When you put in any selection criteria here, I'm doing metro areas. I could also do carrier routes where mail is delivered, neighborhoods, which is actually a localized community, streets, or advanced radii. The key is once I've developed them, and so here let me put in a couple more. I'll do Champaign and Decatur and Kankakee. So I now have a whole bunch of metro areas. When I go up here to go to the next level where I could hit continue or I could update it out on top, you'll notice that what happened is I have now the metro areas I'm going after, and my list has dropped from 109 million to 4 million. The next thing that happens is basic demography. Oh, incidentally, I can go back to geography and change it if I want. Then I can go to basic demographics. So if I said I want everybody over age 50, I just click the numbers here. I could also do it by their date of birth. I could also select for estimated household income. So let's say I just want to go to the upper level homes. So I'll go to $100,000 to $250,000 household income. I could also do it by married or other sorts of things. And once again, when I either click, when I clicked update counts, or down here I hit continue, the number will now drop again to 725,000 based on those criteria. I can now do home ownership. estimated home value in a range. I can look at homeowners or just renters. I can select the household type, a single family dwelling units, both which is FSDU versus multifamily MFDU. I can do the number of apartments if I'm doing a multifamily group. I can also do personal finance. Here comes the credit cards and the wealth. What type of an investor are you? How many credit cards do you have? Mortgage, do you have a mortgage or not? If so, I don't want homes with a mortgage. If I don't want any of those, I can go to the next one either by clicking on optional or continue. Now what you have is I could do households with children, and I can tell how old I want the children to be. This is a huge area, interests and hobbies. So for example, I could do cooking and wine. If I click on the plus, it'll be general cooking or gourmet. So let's say I want to do gourmet cooks to my groups. I want them to be into sports cards, stamps, or other collectibles. I'd like them to be quilters. They could be all of these together. I wanted them to enjoy boating and um, want them to enjoy boating, camping, fishing, hunting. In fact, I want the whole group, and I want them to have. I want people who like dogs, and so I could do any or all of those. I could do it by ethnicity and religion to segment the groups. I can break out the religion of the people. I can do voter information and so forth. So it allows me to get a lot of control. And so I then can update the counts by adding my criteria. I now go to 496,000 leads and so forth. And finally, at the end, I review my criteria. It allows me to add or remove criteria. Generally, what marketers do is they will define the geography, some of the basic demographics and household and finance, and then they're going to use the things like hobbies and interests to create micro segments. In other words, I probably want to break out the people that are into outdoor sports from the people that are into, stamps and so forth and collectibles. And that may be different than the gourmet food and wine. And so what I'll do is I'll put together different groups of hobbies and interests to end up with different micro segments that I can do. But if this is my group, I now know that the number of leads I have is 496,000. So that's the top of my performance funnel for this. With InfoUSA, you can make as many of these as you want. You can break everything out. The only thing you want to do is, if you want to see the price, you have to register. But you can actually order this list if you wanted to build your company and this is what you wanted. You just have to click on see price and it'll go through to do it. I don't think it'll do it here. Let me see if it will. Yeah, see, you have to go through and you have to register, and it is free to do that. So if you want to see the price, you're certainly welcome to do it. So that's how you segment in a using InfoUSA in the U.S. market. And I also give you the links to InfoUSA Consumer Canada, where you can do it the exact same way. So have fun with this. It gives you a way of looking at different market segments as you want to move forward.